Charles "Sleeves" Cimino wasn't the loudest guy in the garage. He wasn't the one throwing wrenches across the room or firing off punchlines for the camera. But ask any true fan of Fast and Loud, and they'll tell you, he was one of the most real and respected figures at Gas Monkey Garage. With his tattooed arms, calm demeanor, and relentless work ethic, Cimino quietly earned the nickname Sleeves, and with it, a place in the hearts of fans who looked past the drama and straight at the craftsmanship. He didn't crave the limelight. While Richard Rawlings took center stage and Aaron Kaufman became the wild-bearded face of fabrication, Cimino kept his head down and his hands moving. Whether it was prepping a car for paint, laying down clean welds, or just doing the grunt work that made the magic possible, Charles showed up and delivered, every time. No shortcuts, no excuses. But then, just like that, he vanished. When Fast and Loud ended in 2020, most of the major cast members moved on with clear public paths. Richard launched new media ventures. Aaron returned to custom building with ArcLight fabrication. Other crew members appeared on podcasts, social media, and new car shows. But Charles Cimino? He disappeared almost entirely from the public eye. No announcements, no Instagram farewell, no thanks for the ride video. Just silence. And that silence spoke volumes. It wasn't just the absence that bothered fans. It was how complete it was. Even die-hard followers struggled to find any trace of what Cimino was up to. Old photos resurfaced. Forum threads speculated. Some claimed he moved shops. Others wondered if something darker had happened. Rumors ranged from health issues to personal tragedy to a falling out with the Gas Monkey crew. But without Cimino himself stepping forward, it was all just noise. So why did a man so crucial to the heart of Gas Monkey Garage walk away without a trace? Why did Sleeves, the man who could outwork anyone without saying a word, vanish from the show, and seemingly from the car world entirely? That's the mystery this story is here to unravel. Because Charles Cimino may have stayed quiet, but his absence made more noise than anyone ever expected. In the high-octane world of Fast and Loud, where flashy builds, loud personalities, and last-minute deadlines fueled the show's drama, one man remained a steady hand in the chaos: Charles "Sleeves" Cimino. He wasn't there for the spotlight, and he sure wasn't trying to be a reality TV star. But without him, many of the show's most iconic builds simply wouldn't have been possible. Charles's specialty wasn't just one thing, it was versatility. Paint? He prepped like a perfectionist. Fabrication? His welds were clean, precise, and structurally sound. Interior details, bodywork, final fitment? Cimino could jump into any phase of a build and get the job done. While others cracked jokes for the cameras or got caught up in shouting matches, Charles was often seen in the background, focused, quiet, sleeves rolled up, sanding, spraying, or adjusting something by hand. Fans picked up on it quickly. They started calling him Sleeves, not just for the ink running down his arms, but because he was the guy always rolling his up and getting dirty. In a shop where tempers flared and deadlines got theatrical, Cimino represented the calm within the storm. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was there to work, and that authenticity made him a fan favorite. Unlike some of his co-stars, Cimino didn't ride the fame wave. His social media presence was minimal. He didn't push merch. He rarely gave interviews, and when Fast and Loud producers leaned into the drama to boost ratings, Charles didn't play along. He stayed grounded in the work, even when the cameras weren't on him. This low-key nature made him something of a mystery. He didn't fit the typical mold of a reality show character, and maybe that's what made him so relatable. He felt like one of us, a guy who showed up, worked hard, didn't complain, and let the results speak for themselves. But even the most dedicated craftsmen have limits. And behind that quiet dedication, there may have been signs that Charles Cimino was growing tired of the noise. While many of his castmates leaned into their newfound fame, signing autographs, launching side businesses, and amassing large online followings, Charles Cimino did the opposite. His social media accounts, if you could find them, were sparse. No big build announcements, no behind-the-scenes drama, and certainly no sponsored posts. Cimino never wanted to be famous. He just wanted to work. In an era when everyone wants their 15 minutes of fame, Cimino seemed to be actively avoiding his. He rarely spoke on camera, even less in public appearances. You'd almost forget he was part of Fast and Loud until you saw his work. His craftsmanship was his signature, and for a while, that was enough. So, why the distance? Some insiders say it was always his personality. A private guy, a craftsman first. Fame was just a byproduct of working in the gas monkey spotlight. Others suggest he was never comfortable with how reality TV worked. The editing, the scripted conflicts, the artificial deadlines, it all grated on someone who cared more about quality than camera time. Away from the garage, Cimino led a quiet life. No red carpet events, no car show booths with his name on them. And maybe that was intentional. Maybe Cimino saw what fame did to some of his co-workers. The pressure, the scrutiny, the loss of privacy, and decided it wasn't worth it. Or maybe he just never wanted to be found. By the time Fast and Loud ended in 2020, Charles had already pulled back. His appearances were fewer, his voice even more absent. While fans speculated about his future, he stayed silent. No farewell post, no goodbye interview. Just one day, the guy known as Sleeves was gone. When Fast and Loud finally ended its long run in 2020, the announcement came without much fanfare. Richard Rawlings thanked the fans. Some cast members branched out into their own ventures, like Aaron Kaufman, who had already moved on to launch ArcLight fabrication years prior. But one name was conspicuously absent from all the "Where are they now?" segments: Charles Cimino. There was no exit interview, no goodbye moment, no montage celebrating his work. Just silence. The end of the show marked the end of an era in car TV. It had been a staple on Discovery Channel for nearly a decade, blending real builds with over-the-top deadlines and personality clashes. But behind the scenes, the grind was real. Working on that show meant dealing with intense pressure, compressed timelines, long hours, and the constant presence of cameras capturing every moment. For someone like Cimino, who preferred the hum of a sander over the glare of a lens, it was a heavy price to pay. Fans began asking questions. Where was Sleeves? Why hadn't he appeared in the later episodes? Did something happen behind the scenes? Some speculated that Cimino had quietly stepped away, even before the final episodes aired. Others wondered if a rift had formed between him and Richard Rawlings. With no official word, all anyone had to go on were guesses. And Cimino wasn't offering any answers. But one thing was clear. When Fast and Loud ended, Cimino didn't use it as a launchpad. He didn't start a YouTube channel. He didn't cash in on merchandise or speaking gigs. He simply walked away. And for fans who had grown to admire his work and his presence, that disappearance hit harder than any on-screen drama ever could. With Charles Sleeves Cimino's quiet exit from Fast and Loud, the speculation came fast. In the absence of facts, the internet did what it does best: filled the gaps with theories, rumors, and fan-fueled detective work. Had he quit? Was he pushed out? Was there a fallout with Richard Rawlings that never made the cameras? Inside automotive forums and comment sections of old Fast and Loud clips, threads popped up asking, "Where's Sleeves?" Some fans believed Charles had simply grown tired of the Hollywood-like atmosphere surrounding Gas Monkey Garage. The stress of filming, long hours, and the performative nature of the show may have clashed with his no-nonsense, get-the-job-done personality. Others speculated something more personal: health issues, family obligations, or even creative frustration with how builds were rushed and dramatized for TV. But one persistent rumor stood out above the rest: a behind-the-scenes rift between Cimino and Rawlings himself. While there's no confirmed blow-up, whispers from former shop employees suggest tension had been growing. Charles, a perfectionist, reportedly clashed with the high-speed TV-first deadlines. He wanted to build cars the right way. The production wanted cars finished by Friday for the big reveal. Others believed it wasn't about the cars at all, but about respect. Cimino wasn't front and center on the show, despite being a key contributor. Some fans felt he was overlooked, undercredited, and treated as a background player while others grabbed the limelight. Maybe, after years of dedication, that wore thin. Yet, no one, not Charles, not Rawlings, not the production crew, has ever confirmed anything. And Cimino's radio silence only made the rumors grow. The quiet exit, the lack of social posts, the refusal to do interviews. It all added up to a bigger question. Did Charles Cimino vanish by choice? Or was he forced into the shadows? When celebrities go quiet, people notice. And while Charles Cimino might not have been a headline star, his disappearance was loud in its own way. Devoted fans, many of whom saw in Cimino a reflection of themselves, began combing the internet for any trace of him. It became a kind of digital manhunt, and what they found was not much. Sparse Instagram posts, often unrelated to cars. A blurry photo from a local Texas car show that someone claimed was him. A rumor he was doing contract work for another shop, though no official listing could confirm it. His trail, unlike that of many former reality stars, was faint. Almost like he wanted it that way. That only fueled the fire. Was he working in secret? Had he opened his own garage under a different name? Some speculated that Charles had gone completely underground, taking on only private builds by word of mouth. That fit the Sleeves people knew: quiet, precise, and fiercely private. A craftsman who didn't need applause to keep turning wrenches. Others believed he might have left the industry entirely. Burned out by the pace, pressure, and personality clashes of TV car culture, maybe he walked away to start fresh. Landscaping, metalworking, even tattooing came up in fan theories. After all, his skills were transferable, and he'd never seemed like someone who needed the limelight. The truth, no one could say for sure. Even attempts to contact him by car bloggers and YouTubers went unanswered. His inbox? Quiet. His phone? Disconnected. It was as if Cimino had taken the same discipline he brought to painting a fender and applied it to erasing himself from the public eye. Whatever the reason, tracking Sleeves proved one thing. When a man like Charles Cimino disappears, it's not by accident. It's by design. Reality TV has a way of magnifying everything. The highs become larger than life, and the lows get broadcast to millions. For someone like Charles Cimino, that magnification may have been exactly what pushed him away. Fame isn't for everyone, and from day one, Charles didn't seem interested in the attention. While Fast and Loud transformed Gas Monkey Garage into a cultural phenomenon, it also turned its employees into characters. Every build became a storyline, every conflict potential TV drama. That environment, while exciting for some, is exhausting for others, especially someone who values craftsmanship over camera time. Insiders from the show described filming days that stretched well beyond standard shop hours. Deadlines weren't just dictated by parts or customer expectations. They were driven by episode runtimes and commercial breaks. Cimino, who built his name on careful prep and precise execution, reportedly found that frustrating. Rushing a build for the sake of a TV segment goes against everything a real builder believes in. And then there was the constant presence of cameras. For someone as private as Cimino, being filmed while working, eating, or even relaxing in the shop created a tension that never let up. Every comment could be edited. Every look could be misinterpreted. Eventually, that pressure wears down even the most dedicated. The fame itself, autographs, fan encounters, the odd recognition at the grocery store, might have been bearable. But the combination of fame, drama, and compromised quality likely became too much. Cimino didn't want to become a meme or a reality star. He wanted to build cars. By the time Fast and Loud reached its final seasons, Charles had already started pulling back. Fewer appearances, fewer shop scenes, fewer lines. To many, it felt like the show was slowly pushing him out. But maybe he was already walking away. Burnout isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a quiet choice, a decision to stop showing up, stop posting, stop playing a role you never wanted in the first place. For Charles Cimino, the fame may have been the one part of the garage he couldn't fix. By the time Fast and Loud faded from the screen, Charles "Sleeves" Cimino had already become a mystery. But just because someone disappears from television doesn't mean they've disappeared from the craft. And for a hands-on guy like Cimino, walking away from building altogether would be like cutting off a part of himself. The real question was he still out there wrenching, or had he moved on entirely? Some fans swear they've spotted him working in small shops across Texas, always behind the scenes, never in front. Word-of-mouth reports trickled in over the years. Someone said they saw him at a swap meet in Dallas. Another claimed to have dropped off a Camaro at a private restoration shop where a guy with sleeves and a calm voice worked miracles on sheet metal. No selfies, no tags, just shadows and speculation. He always came across as the type who valued passing on knowledge more than hoarding it. His calm demeanor, sharp attention to detail, and real-world experience would make him the ideal mentor in an industry that desperately needs new hands. Then again, it's entirely possible Cimino turned the page completely, traded shop rags for a slower life, one away from the spotlight, the deadlines, and the ever-churning machine of the custom car world. If he did, you'd never hear about it. That's the thing about people like Charles. When they disappear, it's because they wanted to. But every now and then, when a perfectly blocked hood scoop or flawless flame job shows up at a show with no shop label, fans still whisper, "That's gotta be a sleeves build." There's a side of every public figure we rarely see, especially someone like Charles Cimino, who went out of his way to avoid the spotlight. While the world speculated about career moves and shop drama, the real story might lie in something far more personal. Health, family, mental well-being. These are the things that don't trend on social media, but can shape a life far more than a viral TV show ever could. It's possible that Cimino's disappearance had nothing to do with Gas Monkey Garage or Fast and Loud at all. Insiders have quietly hinted at personal struggles behind the scenes. Some mention the toll the schedule took on him. Long hours in a high-pressure environment, constant filming, and zero privacy aren't just exhausting. They can push someone to a breaking point. Mental health in the car world is rarely discussed, But burnout is real, and it's brutal. Others have pointed to family priorities. Maybe Cimino had aging parents to care for, or maybe he became a father and decided that building hot rods for a national audience couldn't compete with building a life at home. His retreat from the public eye may have been a choice to protect something, or someone, more important than a television career. There's also the question of physical health. Years of working with heavy metal, paint fumes, welding gear, and shop chemicals can take a toll. If Cimino faced a medical scare, he would have been the last to post about it. That's who he is, humble, private, and focused. But the truth is, we may never know. Because when someone like Charles walks away, they usually do it for reasons deeper than drama. It's not about the fame, the money, or even the cars. It's about peace. And for a man who brought calm and precision to a chaotic garage, that kind of peace might have been the one project he needed to finish for himself. Charles "Sleeves" Cimino may not have had the loudest voice on Fast and Loud, but he had one of the strongest presences. He wasn't there for the drama. He wasn't there to become famous. He was there to build. And what he built, both with his hands and with his quiet dedication, still echoes through the custom car world, even in his absence. Ask any true fan of the show who their favorite builder was, and a surprising number will say Cimino. Not because he cracked jokes or stirred up fights, but because he showed what real skill looks like under pressure. While others argued, Charles was blocking panels. While the cameras rolled on chaos, he was laying down perfect paint or welding something beautiful just off frame. His legacy is one of humility and precision, traits often missing from the glitzy, overproduced world of reality car TV. He didn't need a catchphrase or a side hustle. His work was the brand. And for builders watching at home, Cimino wasn't just a background character. He was proof that the quiet ones often carry the shop. Even after his disappearance, his influence lingers. You can see it in how many custom shops prioritize craftsmanship over flash now. You can see it in how fans treat the behind-the-scenes workers with more respect. He changed the way viewers saw the people who don't chase the camera. If Charles never returns to television, that's okay. His story doesn't need a sequel to matter. Because his true impact was never about fame, it was about the standard he set.